Okay, we are going through the beginning math. You could probably still use this. I don't even think you need a math book but if you have forgotten all the things that they learn when they're little, they learn adding, subtracting, they learn multiplying, they learn dividing. You might think, well, how did they learn that? They don't learn that until this grade or that grade. But I promise you they can learn a lot of concepts, can move forward even if they don't have them all down. So if you remember, we talked about in the last math video that we are going to be doing thumb wars to get the audio part of the math down so that they will be able to count by twos and fives and tens. Once they count by twos and fives and tens, I'm going to be doing a bunch of things like multiplying with twos and fives and tens. And so they're getting that concept. And here, I shouldn't say the concept, because when they're doing this math, it's not about the concept. You're not trying to teach them it. You're just trying to show them how to do it. I promise when their brain starts building up an audio and visual, things are going to go, aha, and they're going to come together. When they have done thumb wars enough, they all of a sudden, they start getting what you're doing, and they start instantly knowing how to do that. Kyla, can you please hold it? I don't want it to worry about that. Just hold it with your hand. Sorry, I have someone who's playing the camera person right now. Okay, so now we're going to go to my paper. So Kyla, come over here. And I'll angle myself. All right. Okay, so, and then again, make sure you watch all the videos. If you feel like I just want to pick this or that, I promise most of my videos have something that is very important that you need to understand about it so you don't mess your kid up because you're doing it wrong. If they're having a hard time, it might be because you're talking too much, and you need to just show them how to do it. Okay, so if we think about the basics, so let's take this math book that it says 5-4, which means it can be 4th or 5th grade. And a lot of times you look in the beginning, and the reason why it's 5-4 is because obviously a lot of kids that are little can't read through these, all of these words. Maybe they can, meaning if they're little. Maybe they are a really good reader at 5 or 6 or something like that. But there are still some things in here that, and you don't have to show a zoom in the book, but meaning there's adding things in here. So my son who's 6, he can do all the adding and subtracting in here. The sequencing in here, they call it, not sequencing, they call it in sequence. Like if I go 12, 15, 18, which numbers come first? Things like that. Or what numbers here are between 10 and 20, and you have a graphing. So some of these might be more advanced than he has, but where he's at his level, I can go in the beginning of the book and pull things. Like I don't need to do this one because I know he's already knows how to do some and some more, but I might use the word problems in it so that I'm getting it. So I know I'm going way off right now. So we're starting in the baby part. When the baby part, we have adding. You got to make sure you're coming in close. Good. We know we have, how do we add? We add with a 6 plus 2, right? Sideways, we try the up and down, 5 plus 9, so horizontal, vertical, and we do things like the 3 plus what equals 11, okay? So this is kind of like your first level, and the same thing with subtracting. It would be the same type of thing, a 7 minus 5, an 8 minus 4, and you have this kid doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. A 12 minus what equals 5, okay? The idea is not to do these over and over and over and be teaching them over and over and talking to them about it. It's just to simply do it. So what happens is I'm going to picking an adding, a subtracting, a multiplying and dividing one. If they can't do any of the thumb wars of the 2, 5s, and 10s yet, Kyle, you're getting your finger like in the camera. If they can't do any of those multiplications, any of the thumb wars of 2, 5s, and 10s, you might have to wait, but it literally might only take them a week or two to get them down. Once they've got it down, you can, here, I'll hold it for 1 second. Once they have that down, you can start adding the multiplying in, okay? But with a little kid, 6 plus 2, I'm literally going to write it down, and it's a lot better if you have with a blackboard, or not blackboard, a white eraser board. I'm going to go 6, count, and I'm literally going to say count. 2, count. Or I might say, what's this? 6, good, count. And I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's this number? 2, good. 1, 2, count. Add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the beginning, I literally had to have take the child and go one, especially when they're really, really little, and go. Sometimes you need those boards that have, oh, I can't even think of what the boards are. They're like, well, I can't even think right now. My brain is dead on what it's called. That they're making a little circle or a stamp with it, and it's a lot easier. But once we go through it, and I'm even helping them along and the counting, we're not telling them all the concepts about it. I'm just literally showing them that each time I count, and then I say add, and they put it together, and we write, good job, and then I go, your turn, and I'm going to literally, so I did one, and then I'm going to write one with them, and I'm going to have them do it. So let's say I did one, and then this is their problem. And let's say they get to 6, and they go, and they just start making too many lines. I'm going to hold their hand and literally go slow, 1, and make them count with me, 2, and then I'm going to stop counting, 3, until they get the rhythm of it. Really quickly. I promise you, within a week or two, they completely know how to do it, and you don't have to tell them what to do. Same thing if it was sideways. I'm going to go 5, count. And I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9, count. Saying it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Add. And I'm going to go, and usually when I have a big number, I'm going to go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I'm going to go 1, 4. Okay? So again, I would start with a big number and go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. After a while, they get the habit of doing that. Okay? And I promise you. And so then the next thing, you're going to show them the habit when there is a what that we go count. And we put the 11 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and then I'm going to go take away 1, 2, 3. And then I literally make a circle around it. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay, 3 plus 8 is 11. Even though we were going backwards, 11 take away 3 is 8. Okay? I'm not going to tell them all the reasons. I'm not going to sit and talk about this is a 10 and this is a 1. I'm not going to do any of this. Right now, we will get to those points. They are going to be learning really quickly how to do this. Within like 2 to 3 weeks, my son went from doing these type of problems to, and like I said, the same thing with subtracting. I'm going to go count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And every time I do one, I'm going to give them another one to do. If they get this problem wrong that I give them, I'm going to then do another one of those type of problems. And then when they go through it, I'm going to help them by not doing it, but like help them by holding their hand to make sure, because sometimes kids will go and they'll keep writing, and then I make them go slow. 1, good, 2, and then I make them, if they stop counting, to count what's next. 3, good. So sometimes you're helping them with that, but they're getting a visual impression. Math, people don't realize, is they are memorizing when they look at a problem. They have to be able to look at something and know how to do it. Right away, they visually have to remember how to do it. Not all the concepts and all of whatever, they have to remember how to do it. All of that other stuff is processed with the brain. The higher their audio and visual gets, the more concepts they've brought together itself. But concepts really, and I didn't know this until I went into the brain people, they were like, concepts you can't teach. The concepts are learned by the way the brain develops, okay? And that's why you find a lot of times the kids are not ever getting it. It's because somewhere they're missing what they need to build up on. So again, I'm going to go 8, count, 4, and then I'm going to go take away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Circle the rest. Count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 take away 4 is 4. Your turn. They're going to do it. When my son comes in now, he writes his problems. Okay? So we all know about this. We all know what happens with adding. So what happens with adding with this level? Okay, because I know we think we have to keep doing this level. You really quickly go to the next level. If they can go 6 plus C, then they can easily go 62 plus 35. Okay, we're not even carrying over yet. All right, the first thing you say is cut, count, and then again, they're saying it while they're counting. Okay, so first cut, and then count, and then add. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sometimes I start 5, 6, 7. Good. Count. Okay. Add 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then I'll go like this. I'll go, okay, what number is this? And some they'll be like 9, 7, 90, and I'll help them 7. What number comes before 97? 96. What comes after 97? 90. And then they get the habit of, I mean, my son will be doing 132,456. And in the very beginning, he didn't know how to read that number, and he's 6, and he had done a multiplication problem. Okay, not right now, honey. He'd been doing a multiplication problem, and normally he wouldn't know how to say this, and I'd go, what number is this? 100, good. 30,000, good. 450, and now I can do it. And I go, what number comes after that? I always, when I do a problem, ask him what number comes after and before. 132,455. And then sooner or later, you don't have to coax them through it. They already know it. Kind of like when we do the thumb wars. I start with going 2, 4, 6, 8. And then the next one I go 2, and then they say the 4. And the last one, I let them say it themselves, and I only start saying it. Like if we were counting by 6s and I go 6, 12, I might go 6 and they do 12. Then I go 18, good. You know, and then we go 20. I might say 20, whatever. I also might do something if I'm doing thumb wars with them. I might throw in, but not in pen. Sorry, I don't know. I'm counting by 2, 5. I think I was saying by your 2s, 5s, and 10s. You always want to go start with your 2s and then 5s and then 10s. Once they have them down, you add 3s in. And then you're going to add 4, and then you'll go 6, 7, obviously 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. With my older kids, once they've gotten past and they can do these, I don't ever do these again, because those are numbers that for some reason we just memorize faster. Remember the 7s or 8 or whatever one messes up. My older kids, when we do thumb wars, we just do 3 through here, okay? And then they get to a point they shouldn't need to do it anymore. But like I said, in the very beginning, once they get any of these down, I can go 6 times 2. And then I'll go, okay, count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to count by 2. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And I'll help them, or they'll go together. Okay, ready? And I might even, if they forget, I'll then do thumb wars with them and count by 2s. And then I'll go, okay, let's count by 2s. Ready? 2, 4, good. And then I will start the number, but not, and then I'll get to the point where I'm not doing it at all, but maybe helping them along. And then, oh, good. And they write, and then I go, your turn. And then, so each one that we do, I give them one afterwards if they get it wrong. And then same thing I'm going to go right into dividing. Okay. Where if they can count by 3s, I'm going to do 3s. If they can't count by 3s, if they can only do 2s and 5s, or let's say they can only do 5s and 10s right now, I'm going to do 5s times 10. I'm going to right away do 5s, and I'm going to go again, count. We're counting by 10. Good. 10, 20. And sometimes you have to start them. And then they're like, oh, 30, 40. And then sometimes they'll go 30, 40, 50, 60. And you're, no. Let's do it again. Good. 10, 20. And you see that they start to get it in their brain. That is where their brain connects and goes, aha. Okay. So right away, you literally, if they can do this, they can do this. And as soon as they do that, you're going to be jumping them probably by the next week with the adding, that you're going to start going things like, you're going to start going into 3. Okay, I'm trying to do ones that they don't do more than 10 right now. All right. Sorry, that's a plus. Same thing, you're going to teach them how to cut. This time, I'm going to put my numbers on the outside here, and then I'm going to do it on top. Okay. So the middle ones I do top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here, 6, 7, 8. Does that make sense? So they do these first, and then you have them count. So they wouldn't write the whole thing. You first tell them count. They write it, count, add. Then the next one, count, add. Then the next one, count. And then you have them do it. When they watch you do it, you do one, they do one, you do one, they do one, and you're only picking 5. So where you might start in the beginning and you did 1 sideways, 1 subtracting, 1 missing number, and, so you're just going to pick 5, and then maybe, then they work up to like, okay, their first problem is going to be this. Their second problem is going to be this, because they can count by 2s now. Their next problem is going to be whatever, because they can count by 10s, or even if they can only do 2s right now, then I'm going to be doing, 6 divided by 2. Okay. So I'm going to be doing a dividing, whatever. And then what you end up doing, what ends up happening. So the same thing happens with if they can count more than 10. I'm going to go to another thing. So if I have 359, 682, okay, and I'm adding, all right, it's nothing different. Count. All that's happening is when they go, okay, 9. I always have already started them to go 9, okay, 10, 11, and then I go 11. What's 11? It's a 1 and up 1. Good job. I'm not going to tell them it's a tens. They're not there yet with their brain. But they can do these problems. You will see that they can do, all of a sudden they get there, because when we go through these different math books, we learn about tens and ones and a little lesson that we're going to be going through. And learning new concepts. They've already know how to do all the problems, how to do them. Now they're getting to the conceptual part of the math, but they can do all of the math problems. Like Kender, who's 6, can do every one of the math problems in this book and higher level with the actual math problems and not the word problems. And so we are taking maybe like 3 or 4 word problems out of there and adding them in now that he can do all of the written problems out of there. And I've only been working on him since all the other, I had my husband and my daughter helping him this year because I was focusing on my autistic son and my other daughter to get them independent. Having a severely autistic son, it was harder because I had someone who normally would have been a lot older, and I had to rebuild everything and physically wrestle a monkey practically for years. But long story short, it was very hard for me to do all of them at the same time when I had someone who I had to do a lot of physical work on. And not just homeschool work, a lot of different physical things that I had to do for his body to be able to have him to feel, because he didn't feel anything, sounds, stuff like that. So long story short, my goal was, okay, I'm going to have someone else help him. My husband helped, and they weren't doing them perfectly. And my daughter helped, and she was probably being a little bit lazy about it. So as soon as I got to, meaning they helped Kender, as soon as I got to Kender, I was able to speed him up, and I knew I could play catch up with him. So, and he was getting it. He's getting all this down. In fact, I noticed in the book that I opened it up and I was looking at all the names that my kids wrote in. So my son this is my 23-year-old. And I looked at the age and I thought, okay, he was 7 here. And this is my son doing 5th to 4th grade math. And it's really more like 5th grade word problems and 4th grade math problems. But this is the kid who at 12 was doing calculus, and then when he got to college, he tested out a calculus 1, calculus, and then he did calculus 2 and 3 there. And I realized Kender was 6, and he was 6 months older than my oldest one, so it kind of gets you excited. Even though Kender was my same one that, was having a really hard time with reading and not learning things normal. He was my kid that so far, not like my autistic son, but he was big time audio, and he wasn't picking up things like shapes and colors from just walking Sesame Street. And I knew that, wait, this isn't normal. And he really did learn backwards. But it didn't matter because I could play catch up with all those once we built up that visual that he was behind in. So all I'm doing again is, so I got the 9, the 2. I'm going to go over and I just put it on the top. I go 11. So what we already do, we put the 1 here and the 1 down there. Good job. Okay, now understand, with this same boy, I was flashing numbers. So I would literally take cards and flash 1 through 20 if they don't already know they're 1 through 20 cards, meaning they're that little they might not know them. Most of them do. Like my 3-year-old, he knows 11, he knows 13, he knows 14. Where Kender hadn't picked that up. He wasn't picking that up visually. And so I had to flash them the letters and the numbers because, I couldn't even sequence with him letters and numbers. So, and now he knows those. So with this, I'm going to go count, and I take usually the biggest number, okay? Or sometimes they've already, remember we're doing the math flashcards, I can go, what's 5 plus 1? And he'll say 6 already. And so then sometimes with the middle number, I can go, if you want, we just do in the very beginning, we count, or we actually do the 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count, and then you have them add up the whole thing, and then you put your answer, 14. What is that? 1. How do you make it a 14? 1 and a good 4. And then again, sometimes they already know. But in the beginning, if they don't know and have certain things memorized, like they don't know 1 plus 3, I'm going to go count. And I'm going to have them count along 1, 2, 3. And so you can see where someone could be very low with even knowing how to count, but they can visually memorize how to do this. But he's already at the point where I can go, because he's memorizing math flashcards, that he can go, oh, 9 plus 2 is 11. And I don't even have to do the counting anymore. Or, okay, so then this whole thing, if we're understanding this, this is how we build up. And then I'm going, all the way down to like, okay, $20, take away $7.43. Doesn't actually have to say money by it. And this is where you're pulling from a math book and you're adding in new things, okay? And you keep pushing them up. You're not making them do 500. Remember, I'm picking 5 different problems. And then what you'll do is every 2 weeks, you'll like just write 5 problems that are kind of the ones that he's been doing and give him a little math test. And then whatever he does wrong, you do one, they do one, you do one, they do one. But don't stick to doing like 500 adding problems and then whatever. If they know how to do it, push them up. So, I mean, I remember teaching my son dividing, and right away he got the dividing, and then, you do the remainder first, and then right away you do the fraction, you go after that, do the fraction, and then you go into decimal, and then you go into, like, if it never ends, and, putting the line over the top and stuff like that. And so literally I remember teaching him that, and then I just taught him the fraction, and then he got that. And then I was like, okay, well, actually, if you just keep adding a 0 after the decimal, he totally got that. So why was I going to keep him at that lower level if he already understood how to do it? So all I'm doing with this is I'm not going into like, I first say, okay, 3 take away. Can I take 3 away from 0? No. And so I'm doing this on my own. I'm not making him do it. Okay, can I take, okay, so I had to borrow. I'm not telling him what borrowing means. I'm just doing it. Okay, 3 takeaways. I can't take 3 away from 0. Can I borrow from the 0? No. Can I borrow from the 0? No. Can I borrow from the 2? Yes. I take the 2 to a 1. And I give the 1 to here. And now it's a 10. Can I borrow from the 10? Yes. And I turn it into a 9. I'm trying to do the least amount of talking. But they hear the rhythm, what I'm saying. Okay, I borrow from the 9 and I give the 1 to this. Can I borrow from the 10? And you might totally think your kid is not going to get this. And you need to explain that I'm giving a 1 to this and blah, 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 blah. And I promise you, they're watching what you're doing to talk the least amount of talking. Okay, now can I borrow from the 10? Yes. And I turn that to a 9 and this into a 10. We know how to do this, but these are the words you use. Okay, so then I'm going to go 10, take away 3, and sometimes they already know that. By the time they get to this level, they usually already are. But let's say they still aren't. But they can visually do this, and they've already been able to push themselves up to the subtracting, where they're being able to subtract and borrow. Okay, where are they up to this point? I know I just jumped up to a higher subtracting when we really go borrowing all the way down. But like I said, Kender can do this right now. And last week, and I just introduced it to him. Because I just said, can you borrow from? Because we started... He absolutely loves the subtracting one. Sorry. I'm putting the wrong number on top.
What grade math book is that?
Which one? I'm not doing them. I'm just showing them that you don't have to have a grade math book.
What grade is that?
I'm not holding a math. I'm just writing.
I know.
What's wrong? I'm still talking, by the way.
What grade is it though?
I'm doing Kender's, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade and 4th grade. Okay. So... I'll talk to you in a second. What's wrong? Okay, you gotta let me finish filming, honey. Can we wait for just a second? Hold on, and then I'll talk to you. All right, but the point is he wants to hug. Okay. All right. I will talk to you while I hug the baby who's very upset. Okay, so... I'm showing you the progression, and I can go through more. You can ask me questions. What happened? What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you tired? I think you're just tired. I'm sorry. Okay. Did you just wipe my kiss off? Oh, I'm sorry. What's wrong? Okay. What happened? Tell me. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll have to continue this a little bit. The goal of all of this is that we're going to go from one step to the other when they're having a harder time. If you need to take the 4th grade, what hurts? He jumps off everything. Are you just upset? What's wrong? All right, I will call you. I will continue this on another one.